Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I have a topic for you, a very interesting topic, and I'm sure you can see that I have somebody beside me today, somebody you've probably never seen before. So I decided that I should ask her a few questions about how she feels about India. And today's topic is most controversial questions people ask themselves before coming to India. So before we get into this video, do like, subscribe, and share the video as well so that other people will be able to watch the video and probably like it like you have liked it right now. So let's get into it. So first of all, before we go into details, she will introduce herself.
Hi guys, my name is Sharon Muhindo and I'm glad to be here. I am a civil engineering student studying here in India and I am Ugandan.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm Zambian. Most of you already know, so I don't need to say that. Yeah. So, let's get into it. We are going to be answering a few questions that we have been asked before by people who are planning to come and study in India. So, here are the questions.
Yeah, so I'm going to read the first question is are African students in India treated unfairly in schools and universities? Gina, you want to go first?
Okay, let me go. Okay, I would say it's a 50-50 thing because there are people who complain to say they are treated unfairly. Okay, let me just say on my side, like what I have experienced, I haven't been treated unfairly at any point, but I feel they could do better in certain aspects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to hint on what she has already said, it's really not unfairly, but what I would like to say is there is a problem of language barrier already in India. So the lecturers are really so friendly. They don't really want to discriminate you, but some of them shy away because they're not good at English, so of course they don't want to embarrass themselves in front of you. It's not like they're discriminating you, but it's just that they feel inferior, the fact that they don't know English, they don't even know how to interact with you. Yeah, but it's really not unfair. I think it's nice. Okay, first from the schools that we've gone to, the university that we went to, it's okay.
So the second question goes, do Indian schools and universities have a cultural bias towards students from African countries?
About a cultural bias, I would say 50-50 somehow because of course Indians being foreigners to Africa, most of them have not been in Africa. First of all, they have this whole fantasy Wakanda thing in their head about Africa. They don't know how Africans live. Maybe the documentaries they've watched are of people starving in Africa, people sick and people in need. So the first thing that comes to their mind when they see you, maybe they will think that you're lacking. First of all, yeah, they'll think that you're lacking, you're poor, and you know the whole thing about Indians and poor people, because they have sort of social classes. So there is of course that whole bias because first of all they are not again educated about Africa. For them, the Africa they know is the Africa they've seen on TV, what people portray out there in documentaries.
Exactly.
Yeah, so there's really slightly a bias. But when you get to educate them and tell them that no, that is not how we live. And actually there is one big bias that Indians have about Africa. They think Africa is only South Africa.
Exactly. No, actually, not only Southern Africa, but they'd say Africa is just a country.
A country called South Africa.
Yeah, and then they would ask you, do you know? I know somebody from South Africa. The person, this is the name. Do you know the person? And you're like, no, no, no.
Oh my god!
Africa
And you
is
find
like
that
huge.
the person is like from Kenya and you're
Exactly.
from Uganda and they expect you to know them. It's really just funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but there is a cultural bias, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah. To add on that, I think that too, because you'd find that people are not educated about Africa. Let's just say that people are not educated about Africa. They do not know anything about Africa.
Yeah.
So you find that even when somebody sees you and then when you tell them to say you're from Africa, they'll be so curious, asking questions that you might actually find offensive at some point. You'll be like, okay, why the hell is this person asking me these questions?
Yeah.
So yeah, it gets like that.
Then I think the other bias is about the way we dress up.
Yeah.
I think it also like sort of perturbs them, because why are you exposing your body? Here we don't do that.
Yeah.
So that's also like quite a problem to them, because of the way we dress up. Of course, we are free people. Like, you can put on your casual dress and go to class, but that's not even allowed here actually. Yeah, most of the colleges and universities have t-shirts, so you have to put on jeans, long jeans. You come with your short skirts, they will not accept you into the college building.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so there is a bit of a cultural bias. And the third question is there a lack of representation of African cultures and histories in Indian schools and universities? Gina,
okay.
go first.
I would say yes, 100%. Indians are never taught anything about African histories at any point, such that when you interact with an Indian, they clearly have no idea about what Africa is about, the history. They only know the aspect of it where Africans are just like Wakanda, you understand? They don't know anything about anything. So you'll find that they only say Africans are suffering and whatnot. So it's never good. Okay, so the next question goes, is there a language barrier for African students in Indian schools and universities? You want my answer?
Yeah, language barrier, well, it depends on which school you're going to, right? Yeah, but still, to a large percentage, there is language barrier. Because first of all, especially if you're studying in Gujarat, because for them they have their own language called Gujarati, whatever. So you find that lecturers are using it, the students are using it. Sometimes you'll be around campus and maybe you want to ask certain students something and they don't even understand what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah, or even the lecturers, sometimes they can't drive their points home because they are not well versed in English like us, because for us, we've been studying English ever since we started school. For them, they've just started studying it because they have to teach us. Yeah, so there is really a problem of language barrier, but still you can you can do without it. Like, it's not such of a big deal. You can
Okay, for me, the time that I came to India, like in my class, we were only 2 international students, you understand? So you find that when a lecturer is teaching, he'll mostly be teaching in Gujarati, in Hindi, instead of English. And when they speak in English, it's only like 1, 2, 3 seconds, and then he switches to his language. So you find that me and my classmate wouldn't be able to understand, you understand? So like communication was hard. Even my classmates, like only a few could speak fluent English. So like even communicating when you're speaking, or rather when you're presenting something, they'll still ask you to speak slow, like very slow. It's just not doing it. You're just not,
because
so
that's
like that.
what you're used to.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, when you speak about that, now I know. I think it actually also depends on the number of international students in your class.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now I think for me, I'm not over experiencing it because my class has really a number of international students.
Exactly.
So if you're in those classes where you're the only international student, of course they have to favor the majority.
Exactly, yeah.
And it might be a problem to you because now they're using their language, and which you do not understand.
Yeah.
And the students who would have explained to you, they don't also understand English, so it's really quite a challenge. But if you're really interested in coming to study in India, I think you can manage. Yeah, we've managed. I don't know. She got through her class even without English, So
Okay, yeah. With time, you get used to it. You get to learn a few words, even though you don't understand. But when somebody is explaining or rather talking to you, you can actually like try to guess or rather just like assume the person is talking about a certain something, and then you just take it from there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, it's like that.
Can manage slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to read the next question. The next question is that do African students face discrimination and racism in Indian schools and universities?
Thank
And,
you.
I should go first?
Yes, you can go first.
Yeah, so about discrimination and racism in Indian schools and universities, yeah, to an extent, really. For example, I'm going to give an example whereby, especially like in hostels, in hostels, first of all, those masses or the people that help, the wardens that help in the hostel, in case there is any bad behavior, they would like to assume it's Africans, because to them, of course, Indian students have been raised as saints. They're not that badly mannered. In case of any, because in India, sexual acts, between unmarrieds are really such a grave offense. So if they find you, let me say, smooching or kissing, it's such a, even when you're at university, it's really such a sin.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe in university sometimes, actually there's like a scenario in school. In sometimes maybe they've caught someone on camera, but cameras are in black and white, so the footage will be in black and white, so they will just assume that it's international students.
Exactly.
They will tie it to international students even when it's the Indian students. So there is that whole sort of course, narrative that they drive, because of course, maybe because of, again, the movies that I've watched, they've seen African actresses and actors in sexual acts and whatever, so they think every African is like that. Yeah, so there is really some sort of discrimination of African students in Indian universities. Yeah, I could think of so many scenarios. I don't know why I'm not like overthinking about them right now, but really it's so much.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack about discrimination and racism. You'll find that there are times when certain things that can easily be done by an Indian or any other person, a Syrian or whatever, you'll find that they'll always find a way of pinning it onto certain type of people, let's say Africans, and you actually see that they mention certain countries. Like it's probably that person from, let's say, maybe Nigeria. It's probably a Nigerian who did it. They just always assume to say it's an African who did it. It's this who did it. Anything bad, anything bad will always be associated to Africans. There's no filter on that. It's always Africans. They'll always find anyone to blame, which is Africans.
But I think also another scenario would be, it's not like discrimination, but I think we just find ourselves like that, whereby even in class, you'll find that the African students are seated alone, then the Indian students are seated on their own row. But I guess it's just because, first of all, of course, you have to sit near your friends. I mean, people who can help you when you don't understand something. And secondly, of course, maybe because of the language barrier. So I don't know if it's really because it's a matter of discrimination, or it's because of what we talked about earlier, the language barrier, and again, the cultures being different.
Yeah, cultures and them not knowing anything. There's this, let's just say, when you arrived in India, right, you'd see that people were like staring at you, because they don't know anything about Africa.
Lack of exposure.
Yeah, there's no exposure whatsoever. They don't know anything. They only know things about India. They're not taught about anything outside India. So it's like when they see somebody who looks different with this different skin color or talks different, it's something new for them. And from what they have watched, they always assume the worst of
of them.
Our kind.
Because of what they've again learned from the internet.
Are there sufficient resources and support for African students in Indian schools and universities?
Sufficient resources. Resources? I don't know. But if you talk in terms of the library, yes. If it's in terms of the library and books, yes. If it's in terms of lecturers, yes, 100%. Because Indian lecturers, I don't know, they're the most, you guys, friendly lecturers. A lecturer will even beg you to submit your coursework. I've never seen that in Africa. Honestly.
Never happened.
Yeah, if you miss an exam, they'll call you, they'll panic. It's like they're doing your work. You get so that's not a problem. Resources, the library, it's always stocked with books. You really don't have to buy books on your own and all that. Yeah, but if you're talking about resources, maybe in terms of stipend, no, at least for me, for the university that I'm in, there is no stipend. There's nothing like that. Then also for the accommodation, okay, accommodation is there, but accommodation is not up to the standard. Be ready to share with multiple people if you are coming to an Indian university, because for them they're used to that. You know, Indian housing is like that. They stay like 10 people in a 2-bedroom house and they're okay with that.
Exactly.
So that's why it's like easy for them to even make campus hostels that people have to share, like 4 in a room, 6 in a room, depending on where you're studying from again. So the resources, some are there, some you just have to see,
to get used to it.
To get used to it.
I think what she has said is quite enough.
The next one was, is the curriculum in Indian schools and universities inclusive of African perspectives and histories?
No, it
absolutely
isn't. It isn't. Not even 1%. I don't think the things that we learn in Africa and the things that we learn out here, the curriculum is so different. You find that when you come here, you feel you are. Sometimes you might feel you're a little bit too learned for their level, and sometimes you feel you're not too learned. It just depends, honestly, but the answer is no. That's the answer.
But because of course, how would they include something that they actually have no clue about also?
Exactly.
So when you come to India, I think it's also just like the same thing, honestly. When you're in Africa and an African university, do you expect them to talk about Indian culture like that?
I think, okay, for us, we do have a glimpse of at least how the Indian societies are. We get to learn, like we explore each and every continent's or country's history
from high school, right?
Like we learn, but for them they have no idea. It's only about India and India, that's all. Even histories, like if you are taking a course that has to do with a little bit of background and histories and whatnot, or something that is geographical or whatnot, you won't find them talking about something that has to do with Africa or any other continent. It's only India, this, India, that. So, because I remember I have a friend, I know someone, she's doing law, right? And the law that they are taught is different from what she knows about law, which covers like other. Their law here is kind of different from what they learn in Africa. So she was like complaining to say, this is not what I expected. We are learning something different. It doesn't really cater for my country. Like it won't really help me as much. So I was like, okay, I won't really talk about it much because I have no idea what she meant. I'm not doing law, but I'm sure you get the point.
Sure. Oh wow. Universities. Okay, I think you're the one to read the next one.
Okay. Are African students given equal opportunities in Indian schools and universities?
Equal opportunities. I would say no for my college particularly, because of course the first thing is language barrier, you guys. The first thing is language barrier. First of all, it's hard for us Africans to get internships. Hey, you guys, it's so hard. You get, because first of all, because of language barrier, because of language, no one is going to employ you when you cannot understand what they're saying, and you're not going to burden them with again having to learn English, which they're not ready to use anywhere. You get. So it's really a problem. So we don't really get to have the same opportunities as the Indian students in terms of placements because of the language barrier. But all the other stuff, teaching, learning material, I think it's the same.
It's the
It's
same.
the same opportunities because of the fact that you're taught by the same lecturers again.
Yeah.
You use the same libraries. Everything is the same. So I would say really in that area there is really no problem. But the main area is placements and internships.
Yeah,
You don't really get the same opportunities.
Yeah. Okay, let's just say anything that has to do with something that involves school activities outside school. Africans don't get much opportunities because, of course, like she mentioned, there's that language barrier. So if you go out there looking for a job, looking for anything that can help you out here, nobody will be able to understand you. Only a few will be able to understand you. But even then, communication will still be difficult. Even if the person knows English, they'll still not be able to understand you fully because, of course, they cannot speak English or rather comprehend. So, yeah.
Do Indian schools and universities perpetuate stereotypes and biases towards African students?
Stereotypes and biases.
Do they initiate them? Do they fuel them? But I think that's a no. I think that's a no. But again, because I think our opinions might be quite biased, or they're just depending on our experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, on the school that we've gone to. Yeah, and initiating stereotypes, really the school? No, at least not.
I think at a certain level, for me, I would say there is a little bit of biasness and stereotype thing that goes on. It's there, but it's like low key. You know, it's one of those things whereby you can easily like branch off and be like, it happens. You understand? So it's just like, okay, it's there. Let's just say it's 3 out of 10 cases where you would find such kind of thing.
Yeah. Plus, I think it also depends on the community that you have around you. If you're in a school where it's very few international students, trust me, you're gonna feel the bias, okay?
Yeah.
But because if you're in a school where there is so many international students, first of all, you're many. I mean, by the time you come, they've seen a lot of international students, right? So the things that you do are really not new to them. But if you're in a school where like you're 2 African students, okay, let's not just generalize that international students, because there's some students from Bangladesh and Nepal, those ones look like Indians typically. So for them, they have no issue or no problem.
They don't have any issue, and basically they have almost the same culture. They almost speak the same languages, so it's not.
So for them, it's not really an
different.
issue. But for African students, it depends. If you're in a school where there is very, very few African students, trust me, you're gonna feel it because first of all, it's new to what you're doing is new to them. Your skin color itself is new to them.
Exactly.
The way you're talking is new to them. They don't understand what you're doing. So there might be some sort of like discrimination against you. Because first of all, but because of course some of the things they do out of ignorance, they don't know much. They're not exposed.
They are not.
All they know is their culture. So I think at a point you just have to ignore that and cut them some slack, and you'll be like, after all, what else? It's just because they don't know what they're doing.
Easily.
They don't understand. You brush it off. But I think some might because in conclusion, some might because they're not exposed. I think
so. Is there enough awareness and education on African cultures and histories in Indian schools and universities? Again, no. No, there isn't.
Emphasizing
no.
that, no.
I'm going to emphasize because most people when they come into your inbox, they would ask you questions, wanting to know, and it's like other people that they ask the same questions. It's like they filter the answers, they don't straight. Me honestly, there was a point I wouldn't tell there was time that I would not advise anybody
to come and study here.
To come and study in India, especially if you are coming under SII. I wouldn't advise. Okay, it depends with the background really, but let's just say for somebody who is from a lower class and who's struggling financially, I would never tell you to say you should come here and study this and this. But there are people who would always filter it and say, no, India is just fine and whatnot. But let's just be honest, India is, for you to be here, you have to be mentally strong. You have to be a strong person, because there are a lot of emotions and there's a lot that goes on. Because for these past few years that I've been here, I have been through a lot of things, I have experienced it all, and especially that it was during that lockdown. So there was that process of what do they call it? Depression and all that kind of thing.
Even as we were home, trust me, we went through it.
Exactly. And when you try to talk to somebody about it, they wouldn't understand to say this is what you're going through, because I think depression is not something that people really talk about. So when you isolate yourself, they'll be like, no, that person is like that. So that's another topic for another day. But the answer to the question that reads, what's the question again? Is there enough awareness and education on African cultures and histories in Indian schools? No. I don't think we even need to explain that.
But in conclusion, I feel like people should be careful where they get information from.
Yeah.
Because you guys, we've been lied to. People have been lied to. Me coming here, I knew the accommodation was different. I reached here and the accommodation was different.
Exactly.
So you have to be careful, especially if you're applying through someone.
Yeah.
Don't ask them about where you're going. Ask someone else who is not applying for you.
Yeah.
Because that's where you're going to get the most authentic information.
Exactly.
But someone who is applying for you, of course, they just want you to come because they want to get money from the school when you arrive.
Yeah.
So they want to give you the whole information. If you want the real information, go out there on your own. Look for, maybe you can trust someone on Instagram that you see, this one is studying in India. Inbox them, ask them, I would like to come to India, what's up? They will tell you the truth. They will give it to you unfiltered, because for them they don't care if you come or not. They're just telling you the truth from what they've experienced.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you find yourself asking the right questions to the wrong people.
Yeah.
Whereby everybody will just be there filtering.
And you'll come here and you'll get surprised.
Exactly. Because the time that I was coming to India, right? It was I didn't research anything about the place that I was going to. I didn't know anything. I didn't know anybody. And it's one of those things, I was just straight out of high school. I was home for a few months, and then it was boom. University. So the whole process was done so quickly. I found myself in India. I didn't research about the place I was going to. I didn't research about the school much, and what I was taught about the school and what I found, starting from the course that I applied for and what I ended up doing, it's something totally different. Exactly. I was taught something else when I arrived, or something else, and before we knew it, it was locked down. We couldn't go back home. I don't even have words.
But it's okay, guys. You can come and study. But me, actually, when someone asks me if they should come and study in India, my first answer is always, is it your last choice? Have you tried other countries and you can't get in? If they say yes, then I say it's okay, because I feel like coming here actually gives you some sort of exposure also. It helps you to know that opportunities are there in other countries, and you can get, because you've seen people go to better countries after they've reached here. So if it is really your last resort and it's your last hope of studying out of your country, it's okay, you can come, right? But if you still have other options, first try those options. When they fail, resort to India.
I think India should always be your last option.
Your last option.
India should always be your last option.
Okay.
Anyway, guys, so this is all we have for you today. If you have any questions, you can always in the comment section.
Comment, share with your friends, support my friends' YouTube channel, please.
So you can always ask if you have any questions. You can always DM me to ask whatever on Instagram or wherever. So I guess this is all we have for you today. If you have any questions, feel free to inbox us. Otherwise, this is it. Ciao.